Oh, I probably, or I had no intention of live streaming. I accidentally hit start streaming instead of stop recording when I was doing my recording. I have a recording I now have to upload, but I won't upload it while the stream is going. And since somebody said, "Hey, reboot it," and there are a few some new, few, like 100 new subscribers, I figured if they're going to get a notification, I'll just come on for a few minutes, explain why there was a start and a stop. I use OBS to do it, and I was recording, so I hit start streaming instead of stop recording. Hello, Christopher. And so that's what happened. I did not mean to do a live stream. I don't want to do a lot of live streams. I currently don't. I don't really have any moderators. Many of the new people I don't know, and I like to do recordings because this way here I don't have to split my attention. And I really and I I'm an Aspie. I can if somebody says something, I can very often, my whole attention will go there. I don't do split attention very well. I obsess here or I obsess there. So live chats are a relatively poor format for myself, and if it's bad for me, it works out that it's not so good for the people who come there. Hello, Oswald, Amoro, Christopher Bryden. And I didn't even, since I wasn't going to do a live stream, when I do live streams, I put my coffee in a proper cup and don't drink it out of my my old tomato sauce bottle. But they hold more than a coffee cup. So I'm just on here for a few minutes. I didn't realize that, again, I had inadvertently started a live stream. And so again, now it means that all the new subscribers who hit the bell would get a notification when it works. I notice my notifications tend to work, although I have been a few times where I did miss shows and I realized I went back and the button that I knew I had clicked on had been unclicked, and we all know that YouTube plays its games. But I'm not going to complain about. Even with all our censorship, I refuse to complain about a free platform, because people who do operate their own servers and what it costs to maintain them, let me tell you, when you're getting something for free, just, you can, it's, to me, if you don't like something for free, then don't use the free stuff. If the free stuff comes with things, it's gracious. I think it shows a little class and graciousness, not to complain a lot. I mean, to me, it's, if you want a relationship, we can have an honest relationship with YouTube and say, YouTube, come on, I mean, do you really need to do this? I mean, it's, it seems as if, like, this isn't about, it's not like you're trying to save money here, although with the advertising stuff, who knows? Keep the bottle, huh, Moro? Okay. So, Christopher, I kind of recognize your name. I'm not sure when you say long time no see, it's been so long I can't remember when that was. And but I really, since there's a few there's 5 people here, so again, I think it's just really great that there's such a confluence of attention to the fact that the population of this earth is being treated very poorly by those who somehow manage to wrest control of it. Hello, Brendan. And what's really interesting is much of this story about the ugly control of the earth ties very much into my telestic, which is the real word that those who got called Gnostics are. And again, I'm not here. I kind of stopped doing my Gnostic live streams. There's wonderful work being done by the teacher of what I consider to be the telestic method, the true, what I would call true Gnosticism. I mean, Gnostic is a pejorative term. Gnostic basically kind of translates to know it all. The keepers of the mysteries have been around for thousands of years. It took thousands of years to develop it to the high art that it was, and it is that ancient knowledge, of the pagan mysteries, that all of this Tartarian culture and science derives from. I did not, and I wouldn't know because I don't. Hollywood is strictly off limits for me. I know. I refuse to pay for people who lie to me. And just the acting is so bad these days. Even the stories are stupid. But no, I'm not that person. And oh yeah, and even I would not consent to the plot lines that those movies use, because they're using some of the garbage. They're using garbage history to create that stuff. Once you know our story, the most of the plots of Hollywood would fall as flat as they are. But thank you, Dennis, or Denise. I think it's Denise. See, I'm 3/4 French. I come from so Denise is French for Dennis. I had a friend. I had a drummer. His name was Denise, but he was really Dennis. Hello, Dark Truth. And I'm really glad, like right now it says 5 watching. I'm kind of glad this is a low turnout. Chances are after I say hello here, I'll probably delete this video. This was just because I accidentally tripped I'm streaming. And so I just came on for a few minutes. After I do a recording, I'm still fairly engaged and chatty. My moon is in Gemini, so it tends to give me the gift of gab. Although I've managed, once I kind of got a little bit more clued into what the planets were, I tend to do what we do with the energies of those planets out there. Hello, Peter. Voyage. This is doing my best not to mangle it too much. I'm usually fairly good at stuff, but the I before the J there is a little. Oh, that's right. J would be a Y. Voids. Voids. No, I don't usually struggle that much, but they can be tricky. Not even the Dutch. That's funny. The Dutch, again, one of my things is about, following the Tartarians to New York. And the first, and then the fact that, we find all these buildings in Australia, which before Cook sailed by and claimed it for the Queen and then started bringing their convicts there. The original name of Australia was New Holland. And that's Holland, not the Netherlands, and it was part of the Dutch Republic before the orange kings and queens from Britain started, ate it up. My second name's a voice. Thank you very much, Peter. That makes I get that, because the J kind of operates like a Y, and VOY, and is voy. All right, yeah, I love it. Thank you very much. Kombucha. No, I have some people already who make it, and I would like to start making my own because I happen to like kombucha. But I have to be careful because I'm a now 9-year sober alcoholic, and obviously when you buy it commercially, they control the alcohol content that it can produce. If I make my own, it might end up turning into something like sparkling wine, and that would. I definitely do not want to have that spirit in my bloodstream again. It has, there's a part of that part of my genetics, my French and Celtic genetics. Oh, by the way, I also have, through my mother, I have Tartar blood. She told me when I was younger, we have Tartar blood. One of my aunts and uncles were very olive-skinned and fuzzy, furry. and quite good looking. That's coffee diluted with water. Black coffee. I drink, one of the ways, I'm 66 years of age. I feel great, have no aches or pains, no doctor bills, no doctor visits. And I think a lot of it has to do with, the amount, the other than fruit and honey and occasionally maple syrup, I don't use sugar very much because it just breaks down tissue. I'm really a geek. I'm certified in medical massage, and being a geek, when they'll teach you much more than most people retain. Well, I happen to retain a lot of what they taught me. So this is just regular black. I don't like anything too hot or too cold. I don't use ice cubes unless I'm going to put an ice cube in something hot so it gets to room temperature. So I fill it up with some water. Then I pour my fresh hot coffee in here, and then it becomes drinkable. But black organic coffee. Only, and again, one of the other things is for 30 years I've been eating strictly organic food and a bit of vegetarian. But again, that's just me. What works for me has worked for me. Each of us. I'll share with what has worked for me, and maybe go, oh, maybe that'll work for me. Maybe it won't. Well, I noticed that, Alex, that what I like about the organic coffees is just so much. They're so not acidic. They might have the bitters and the mild acids, but they're just smooth and delicious. Yeah, I'm vegan. Vegan to me is just it's unnecessarily harsh. I understand the compassion of veganism, but we really, once upon a time before modern factory farming, taking milk from a nursing animal was not a form of abuse. The animal generally produced more milk than their baby needed, and once the baby was weaned, you milk them and keep them going. It wasn't an exploitation. It was taking advantage of nature. Advantage in a good way, not taking advantage. And similarly with honey, bees produce more honey than they need. The whole thing is to take no more than they need. For me, the criminality of modern beekeeping is they take the honey that they need for their profits, and then they feed the bees sugar water. Now, I've also read things, I tend to do that, but I miscalculated, and so I had to give them some sugar water. For me, the whole thing is make sure you just take what the bees won't need, and if it's a light winter, then you have more and you can sell it in the spring. To me, feeding if bees are fed anything other than the honey they make, if they are forced to eat some sugar water crap so that we can take their honey, that's theft. That is unacceptable. There are ways to make use of dairy and honey completely compassionately because of the abundance nature builds into our system. It is the greed and the callousness that to me drives what is modern veganism, and I understand it. But it just starts to get, and it gets more like a religion, and also we all should know about nutrition. If you're going to, you can be on a great meat diet, and the only thing you won't be deficient in is protein, but you might be deficient in all kinds of the more important things, like minerals and vitamins. Protein. We just need protein to replace that which gets broken down. The two basic kinds, collagen and elastin. Elastin is largely muscle tissues or any kind of stretchy connective tissue. The harder stuff, like cartilage and all the building blocks is made of collagen. So proteins are just largely turned into any part of collagen or elastin that breaks down. Obviously, if you work out a lot, you have a physical job, you're breaking down a lot of elastin as well as some collagen. You need to replace it. But other than that replacement, that's what protein is. Protein is not an energy food. Extra protein either gets excreted in the urine or it gets turned into fat. So again, you know, knowledge is power. And so when, you know, when people are engaging in how they nourish themselves, you want to know a little, you want to know about nutrition. And the last thing anybody wants to follow is what everybody else is doing. Because that's how we got in this trouble to begin with. Everybody, you know, it's just, you know, there's line up and we just follow where the line goes. Okay. Yeah, it is all about the money. And that's, you know, I have trouble, you know, when I try to explain to people, when, you know, about, you know, about the value, you know, money's inherent value. There's only one value. There's only one, I mean, there's nature and the resources she gave us, and then the creativity and the labor we humans will expend to kind of fine-tune it and make it work for us. Human labor and creativity and imagination is the only thing of value on the planet, like I said, with the natural resources. Money buys creativity. Money buys labor. So again, and this is what happens when we don't have, you know, the word trade. What does the word trade mean? To have a trade means that you have a skill that you can trade with another skill, so nobody needs money. Anyway, so I don't want to get going because, again, we're going on 15 minutes. There's 12 people here. It's a very sweet and humble crowd. I hope nobody gets offended by words like sweet. You know, sweet like good fruit is. And that's one of the other things, you know, people go, oh, how do you know you're getting organic? I can taste it. If you were to put organic broccoli and unorganic broccoli on 2 plates and came in the room and asked me to tell you which one it was, I'd be able to. Because one tastes like gack, and the other one actually has a flavor with some sweetness and goodness in it. That's the beautiful thing about Mother Nature. If the better something tastes the way it's supposed, like, you know, is a sign that it has nutrition. Good flavor and good smell are how we can identify wholesome foods. And that's why occasionally I sometimes, you know, I mean, I will see sometimes batches locally grown that they, you know, again, I want traditionally grown food. What's now called organic is nothing more than traditional farming before all the poisons that were developed in World War II to kill people were left over when the war ended, and they had to figure out, what are we going to do with all this stuff? Oh, yeah, we can start killing the bugs and whatever. I mean, it's pretty sick. Hey, Vernon. So I don't need paperwork. I'm not looking for pedigreed produce, which is what organic has turned into with the USDA. You know, it's, you know, paperwork. That's how the parasitic system works. People with no talent other than making up rules for other people, and then other people with no trade skills that are very good for pushing papers and reading something and go, oh no, this is not complete, we can't help you, Mr. and Mrs. whatever. You know, the cogs in the shit wheel. So anyway, if I go into a supermarket and there's some local produce and it doesn't have the pedigree of organic, I pick it up and smell it. And if that peach smells like a peach, I can really kind of smell that peachy flavor, and that means it's going to taste like a peach because it smells like a peach. Then I have the all clear signal that there's nutrition in there. If I pick up something and I don't get any scent from it, that's because there's no nutrition in there. Mother Nature has given us the senses we need in her very own environment to identify what is good and what isn't. Oh, you fry salmon? I eat salmon a few times a year because I like the totem. See, that's the other thing. If I'm going to eat the flesh of an animal, I want what that animal can kind of totemistically offer me. And if anybody knows anything about Celtic mythology, the salmon was the totem for wisdom. So when I'm eating salmon, I'm totemically not only eating its nutrition, but the symbol of wisdom that it has in the Celtic tradition. As I said, I have Tatar blood in me. My mother's maiden name is a Saracen. And I'll say is, even though she has crossed over. Hello, Mary Evans. And, you know, Saracen at one time was a synonym for a Mohammedan or a Muslim. And when we look into what was formerly Tartaria, what do we have? Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, the stans, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the stans, which means stone or land. So once again, as we kind of go through this, and you know, Mod Wiz is just a little bit of a clue of myself. No need to elaborate. But as I kind of do genetic memory exploration, there's some form of like kind of shamanic traveling, and Tatarstan, Christopher, yes. That, you know, I'm looking to help work the exoteric part of this with some esoteric methods. Well, actually, Flat Plain Oregon, I think I'm going to address that question in the video I plan to make on prisons and insane asylums, sequestering the dissidents of parasitic takeover. How does that sound for a working title? Because in almost any instance, if you look at prisons, and there's who is it? One of the new people. Let me just look at my subscriptions for a second. I guess Curious Life put up a video about the prisons, and then Subphotonic picked up on it. These are YouTube creators, and I had never seen the prisons, but when we were looking at New Zealand and Australia and their false stories, and we see this, you know, these beautiful architecture buildings that were insane asylums. And the fact that they're so huge, their capacities are massive. So, to kind of your question here, Flat Plain Oregon, how do we get so dumb? We got so dumb because the ones of us that were, again, you know, there are some of us are a little, or pay attention in different ways, have different skills. Some of us are much more capable with our hands than our minds, and the people who have the capable minds depend on those capable hands, and vice versa. It's all a beautiful symbiotic relationship. There is no, you know, the dumb ones and the smart ones. No, there are people whose skills tend to be more cerebral, and some skills tend to be more tactile, and it's just left and right brain stuff, and we need them. We need those skills, and we need each other to just be the best we can be in whatever we're good at. So anyway, the reason is that those apparently who had either the memory, the cojones, or the perspicacity, or the you know, the perceptive ability to, as these parasites are coming in after some of these cataclysms, making claims, saying that we built this, oh, this is all our buildings, whatever. And so we go, well, you're a fucking liar. You're a fucking liar. So then the thing is, they might come and take that person and put him in an insane asylum. If that same person punches a bunch of people out, you know, and resists arrest, well, then in an insane asylum, they might put him in one of the prisons. So I really feel that prisons and insane asylums were the two places where the people who absolutely knew this was a takeover. These people were lying. These people were full of shit. All right, those who spoke out, the nonviolent ones were put in insane asylums, and the violent ones were put into, again, prisons. But these were not insane asylums and prisons originally. They were these huge, beautiful Tartarian buildings. So anyway, that's my answer to you, Flat Pane, Oregon. It's not that we got so dumb, is that those of us who kind of are the watchers for the rest of us, kind of let's say, you know, like as everybody's just doing busy, there's a few people who kind of, because they're really good at observing things or might have a little bit, you know, just a little bit more perceptive ability than some others, they're the ones who were there. And when they started sounding the alarm, the parasites locked them away. And that's how people got so dumb. My opinion. I mean, you know, every incursion into the old world, which we have to call the pagan world, there was no prisons. There was no insane asylums. You know, you either behaved yourself in the society you lived in, or somehow you were dealt with. And hunting parties made real troublemakers a little bit easier to deal with. Hunting party requires exquisite coordination for everybody to stay safe. If you have a troublemaker on the hunting party and suddenly the team deserts a certain member and they're left to deal with a big animal by themselves, oops. And you know, there were shamans and other, you know, people whose job in a society was to be able to tell who were the psychopaths. So, and I think I really feel that we can together can make enormous progress. And my counsel would be, especially if we start cracking some of this tech, is to be quiet in our titling. Okay, in other words, like I think it's best for all of us to realize we're part of a team, and nobody wants to be the star. So I think if we're cautious about how sensational our titles are, so it's not like a title like broke how to take free energy, must see. Don't do that. You know, again, we have a community now of thousands of people now who are formed who are all watching us. If we have something really astounding, I think we should have it in the video, including all fleshed out. But don't do the neon light thing. Do not put up banners and fireworks and going, we have done it. Do not. I feel we can celebrate publicly in our videos, but we shouldn't be celebrating in titles. Let's not make the censors work easy for them by advertising to them. Because, you know, at some point we go like, oh, I did it. I want everybody to know, you know, like, let's just, you know, get calmed down. None of us should want to be the unique one. Let's do just how we see this old culture, how the Tartarians worked. Each according to their ability, no stars. When we start seeing the emperors, you know, again, when you start seeing stars like, you know, the emperor this and blah, blah, blah. No, the Tartarians didn't do that. To me, we can tell. And one of the videos I will make is what happened to Tartaria. But I might want to pull some pictures together, especially that emperor chart in Tartaria. I have a very good idea of what happened to Tartaria, and it was an inside and an outside job. So anyway, I've been on now for almost a half an hour, and you know, 15 people, some who I've known from before, some of these are new people, like Denise or Dennis, I think it's Denise L. And Oswald Spengler and I know each other through chats for some months, if not years. Christopher and Bryden and I have obviously known each other. Flat Plain, Oregon, you're new for me. Denise L, new. Peter Voice, new. Mary Evans, I know. Alex Iphigenia, that's the other thing, the English language and its fuckery. G should always be a G. We have a J. So the English language is confused. To me, the English language actually is where the Tower of Babel moment really, really happens. And that's the other thing with the video I'm going to put up. The video I'm about is about how to use the 1,000 missing years. That's not up yet because I'm going to end the stream and then begin uploading that one. So there's a video coming after this one. And it's basically my simple formula for the missing 1,000 years of history. And just like a little bit of a teaser, it's about the AC and BC as a big part of the timeline fuckery. There is a BC before the Christ man. There is an AD after after the death of the Christ man or the birth of the Christ man. But where that is placed on like where we are now, and if we were to count the years and days to when that was, that's where the fuckery occurs. And that's what my video that will, I have a very humble connection here, largely because I have a very humble income. So I keep it as low as I can. I don't have the lowest because it would be almost unusable. So, for I think this video I have is matter of fact, I have it on my desktop. Let me see what the size of it is. It's 157 megabytes. It's 40 minutes long. That'll take me about an hour and a half to upload with my connection. Where? There's my live dashboard. I'm just clicking around. Got lost for a second. So it's Greek. My two father-in-laws back. I had a Greek father-in-law. Hello, Christian Martin. So anyway, in about 2 hours, there will be my simple formula for the missing 1,000 years of history. And also, I kind of talked, in trying to do like a teaser for a subject, I kind of crossed into the subject. Hey, Enjoy Being, how are you? I don't know who Dude is. Again, I'm a little bit of a stickler for language, like precision of language, because one of the ways we got so confused was being imprecise in our communications. And I really believe precision in communications will greatly assist us in getting to where we need to go. No, something the reason I don't want to talk about my name is because, I like, it's just, for people who know me, are going to sit in the living room with me, it kind of makes sense. Other than that, it just feels narcissistic for me to talk about my name or too much. I'm not, I'm born under the Chinese sign of the dragon, so vanity that can easily feed into narcissism is something I'm always a little bit on guard about. Hello, Suzanne. Thank you, Christopher. My name is Radagast. Wasn't my given name, but when I changed my name at 17, my parents and my immediate family adopted to it immediately and never slipped, so to speak. So that's when I was 17. I'm 66 years old now. Well, I'm not 66 years old. I'm just 66 years on the planet. And so I'm Radagast. And ModWiz is a way of me to contract and kind of take some of the presumption out of a term like modern wizard. So ModWiz is playful. It's almost like a joke. So it is a certain amount of self-deprecation, or at least not taking myself too seriously. Because the only person who has to take me seriously is me. Everybody else, not so important you take me seriously. I have plenty of self-validation is key to me having to not being injured and not being offended so easily, because you already feel good in yourself and other people have opinions. Fine, I mean, not everybody's going to like everybody. So there. No, Gandalf was the gray. In Tolkien's work, Radagast was the brown, but on Gaia, Radagast is now aquamarine. Even my mother introduced me to Tolkien's works. And when I told her my name was now Radagast, my mother being a Leo, and Leos like to be, like to have a little attention, a little star quality. She said, "Why didn't you pick Gandalf? Everybody knows who he is." I said, "That's not who I am. I'm Radagast." So yeah, I mean, Radagast, Modwiz, there's that whole vibe there. But again, it's kind of like part of my personal path and living in a sacred fashion. I mean, this is all about the sacred me. And blue-green flat plane Oregon. It's aquamarine. Because you got to have the balance. Because to get into a little metaphysic and esoterica, blue is the voice or the higher will. Okay, so it's the command. Green is the heart where wisdom lies. So blue without wisdom can just turn into pure willfulness. So blue-green is the kind of combination that when will is exercised, it has been fed from the heart and compassion and care for all, and not just the one, which blue alone could signify. Turquoise works also. Turquoise, whatever color embodies both blue and green is kind of the energy, because it is about the energy of compassion, wisdom, and the heart, and the energy of expression and the will, because once we have our wisdom, and once that wisdom has informed us that there are problems that need fixing, we need the voice and the will to remedy. But it must be informed by wisdom and compassion, and that comes from our hearts. And that's why the color I embrace is a combination of blue and green. I use a cable. I don't use wireless. Ever since I moved in, I mean, when I go out, I don't even bring my phone with me because I don't want that. I mean, again, it's not the worst unless you hold it up to your brain. But I'm doing my best to be on the earth and not in the world, because the world is where the fuckery happens. It happens on earth, but it happens in the world. Persian Scribe, I do see lots of YouTubers running wild, but it's not so much the content creators. I mean, the content creators do a little bit, but speculation is, I invite their speculation. I mean, some of their imaginations are running from a different kind of reality base. But first of all, like Martin Liedtke, he has controllers or this or that and whatever. He's doing amazing work. He's bringing up all of these books and the Gallicas. I mean, it's to me, to complain about maybe a phrase or here or there from Martin is like somebody who's bringing out all this gold ore. Now, yeah, you have to kind of clear away some of the dirt to get to the nuggets, but the man is producing a massive amount of ore. I mean, and he's such a delightful fellow. What a delight! I mean, he's just a delight. Hello, Madfinger. But what happens for me is there are a lot of people who YouTube, a lot of people don't read anymore. I would read more if I could afford books. But currently I can't afford any books. Fortunately, Walter Bosley, because I'm a moderator for him, is sending me his latest book. I'll get to read again. I've read all, anyway. The chakra that's blue and green is the thymus gland. The thymus gland is the gland between the heart and the thyroid. And the interesting thing is the thymus gland is where the immune killer cells get their immunocompetency. In other words, that's where they get their compassion, so they're not just out there killing everything. They need wisdom before being released, and they get that wisdom by being in the thymus. Look it up. Science will tell you that T killer cells. T comes from is for thymus. They even call it education in the thymus gland. Oh, I will, because again, I'm not worried about spoilers. I mean, so many people, I don't even understand the concept of spoilers. But again, I'm an Aspie, so I have different neurological needs than the mass of people, the normies. And normies is not like, you know, for a lot of people, you know, the red pills and then you have the norm. No. Normies are what I'm calling neurological normative people. The mass of people are neurologically normative. So from somebody who's not, they're the normies. But I'm aware, I know the autistic minority I belong to. But again, I will say, for me, autistic is A-W-E, tistic, not A-U-tistic, A-W-E. Because that whole glazed look very often is being caught up in the awe of creation and where we really are and what our true environment is. It is awesome. Our source is awesome. So this is really funny because, again, this is an impromptu live stream. And I'm not even, now that it's gone this long, I might leave it up. But I consider, you know, I guess this is this is my first live stream, Tartaria live stream. So in many ways, this is kind of like a little bit of getting acquainted with some people that have not even known I existed on YouTube. Thank you, Doc Michael. And let's see. Okay, I guess that kind of wraps up a little bit here. Okay, I want to read. Since people are, your Persian Scribe is talking to Enjoy Being. Yeah, I mean, Martin, lead key, Persian Scribe. Again, to me, such a delightful man. And hard worker. I mean, I would feel like a real creep criticizing somebody like that. I don't care even if I did, you know, disagree. No, because I'm looking for commonalities. There's so much common ground for us to live with each other in. That's where we should focus. Because again, the places we disagree with, it's not like anybody's advocating murder and nasty stuff. These are like, you know, points of philosophy or detail or interpretation, not enough to make even other than maybe, you know, cursory, a little difference. Who cares? I will get around to it. Enjoy being. I mean, you know, the whole thing is I'm doing this. Plus, I have all these songs that I'm writing. I am a songwriter, and I really think I'm making fun music, and that's, you know, part of the I want to kind of contribute to a soundtrack to the new to finding our story. Yeah, you know, Oswald, the Aeon. I mean, I contribute into the live chat. I try to catch them live. But you know, if you can't tell, I mean, they're all really Christians hiding as Gnostics. They call themselves heretics. You know, I mean, you know, the Rosicrucians. This is all. You know, there are two groups of mystery schools. The ones that have been around for tens of thousands of years, of course, crystallizing and really becoming, you know, real forces to deal with. The ancient pagan-based mystery schools, and then the mystery schools that kind of come out of the Western tradition of Kabbalah, Gematria, the Old Testament. You know, I mean, again, they are Judeo-Christian mysteries. The mysteries that gave us Masonry and everything that we're seeing in these Tartarians are pagan mysteries. And pagans get a bad name because people think that the Greeks and the Romans with their state religions were pagans. No, actually the pagan, just like Gnostic is a pejorative word basically meaning know-it-all from let's say the rabbis and the new forming Christians, because they had been around forever and these new religions are showing up with their wild ideas and jealous deities. The Gnostics were doing their best to set them straight. They've been around forever. They're watching us. They even knew who this new being they had contracted with, and they spoke on it. So because they were really so brilliant, these new people with these new ideas that completely made them bent and misshapen were constantly being corrected. So basically the old philosophers got called know-it-alls because they professed the gnosis of things. And so that's what Gnostics came about. Gnostic is a pejorative term for those who were offended or butthurt that those who had been part of a system that's thousands of years old were correcting them. So Gnostic is a term created by the butthurt. Similarly, the word pagan was invented by the very same people we think are pagans, which are the Roman polytheists. Okay, Pagani, if you were to translate it into modern English from what it really means hillbilly or a rustic. Okay, because the pagans were tied in with Mother Nature. That's why they were called hillbillies and rustics. And they realized that the animals and the streams and the trees were all part of kinship in this beautiful earth that we inhabit. So they were considered unsophisticated. That's who the pagans were. Those who saw nature as the educator. When you look at the polytheists, let's take the Romans because their names are much easier. They didn't worship. They were not tied into the earth because who were their gods? Mars, a planet. Jupiter, a planet. Saturn, a planet. Venus, a planet. They worshiped planets, basically. Okay? So if you live on a planet and you're calling the people who kind of are like their worship is involved on the planet that they are a part of, I shouldn't say planet, the earth that they are a part of, because I want to keep everybody on board here, all right? We all agree earth is our home, all right? So that's the focus point. Earth is our home. And so I really got to make sure I don't even glance at the chat or I get completely fucked up. Even if it's the most wonderful thing. Somebody could be saying I love you and it'll fuck me up. So basically, these are people whose their deities are off planet, alien. I mean, again, who knows where those things are? But Earth, they're not Earth. I mean, if we identify Mars, it'll be, and whatever that screen is, sky, space, whatever you want to call it. Okay, the dome, it doesn't matter. We look up from where our feet are, and that's where it happens. Okay, is that like broad enough? And so to me, so a lot of people when they hear pagan, and they, and they're like, oh yeah, devil worshipers, whatever. No, that's all that ugly stuff that gets called pagan are the state religions. Okay, they have nothing to do with the people who might bring a little bit of, like their meal. As they're eating, they have like a little shrine. They put a little bit of their meal by a bunch of stones that is the spirit of the river. Okay, to confuse pagans with the garbage of the state religions of the Greeks and the Romans, or the Phoenicians, or the Carthaginians. All right, this again, state religions, the control systems. Where do you think all the other state religions learned to do that? The newcomers, who then oh pagan, they do this, and they again, these were state religions. The pagans did not have a state; they were subjugated, and then they became parts of states. So again, if you hear me, I'm making this clarity for all 20 people who are here. Pagan has nothing to do with that ugly, disgusting, practices that we see done by the Carthaginians, Phoenicians, Romans, Greeks, and whatever. All right? All that sacrifice. The word sacrifice means sacra, sacred. Facer, to make. To make sacred. So in other words, when we do an action, we do it within knowing our relationship to that which created us. We do it in a sacred way. A sacrifice is to make an action sacred. And as far as I'm concerned, ripping things apart and bleeding them and using other people's blood other than your own. You want to use some blood in some kind of, it better be your own, or you have made up a story that somebody else is willing to be part of your ritual. Anyway, okay, I guess I got that out, so now I can take a little bit of a look and probably say goodbye. You know, again, Persian Scribe. Again, the earth is our home. And to me, since we're kind of like in or on, just imagine like being in a house and we're in it and nobody can really get to a vantage point to look at the shape of the house. But there's a real bunch of shit going down in the house. And instead of dealing with the trouble in that house, we got some group of people arguing over what the shape of the house is. That is fucking retarded to me. But I do see the juice of the people who, the first place they ran into that we've been lied to big time, that from their perspective, it was the flat earth or the shape, the lie of the globe earth. Whatever got people into this discussion is a good thing. For those who think flat earth is a lemon, well, I don't know. This whole movement that's going here with, you know, identifying how we've been lied to and our bullshit history, okay, that's lemonade. So I have no, you need lemons to make lemonade. So anybody out there who thinks, you know, again, I refuse to go after anybody regardless of the shape that they think the earth is. Anybody who wants to focus on our home, the earth, and the problems that we need to address, we're all on board. We're all in the same place. So again, there will be those who want to argue about the shape of the building that we live in. That'll be what they do. But I won't get in that fight. That's ridiculous. I'm looking for where we come together, not where we differ. And again, you know, and especially when we don't have, to me, none of us has the absolute place of getting out of whatever in is. So let's attend to housekeeping. So anyway, I'm going to call this stream complete. I can't believe it ran almost an hour, but once I get going, one thought leads to another. And oh, hello, Sandra Kurek. Welcome. So that's it. I seem to have not made anybody too unhappy, and so and maybe I hope, again, the whole idea is that we have different places. I plan on doing very few live streams because they're just, I need to stay on point. All right, I don't understand, Persian Scribe, what you mean by, are you going to cold call Walter Bosley at all? I don't know I have no idea what that means. I don't know what a cold call is. That's what I mean about precision of language. So I'll kind of, if you have another way of asking that question, I'm happy to give this another minute or two. And I'll roll myself a cigarette and go outside and smoke it so I don't stink up the room. And also just gets me outside into nature. Even though it's like freezing here, we'll take my bare feet out and step on my lawn and get some battery charging. Thank you, Christopher. You as well. Yeah, I agree, Doc Michael. Again, to me, I mean, Sylvia Ivanova put out the Tartaria concept over 4 years ago. But now it's finally getting some traction. And who can we thank for the presence and the kind of explosion of it? We can thank the Flat Earthers for that. All right? So, praise where, praise is due. Oh, yes, Persian Scribe, all in time. I mean, one of the things the reason why I kind of haven't bugged him because he was working on his book. And so to me, when he's in research mode, to introduce another path of research to him, I think we're actually maybe being a dick to him. I mean, I want to be his friend. And he's working his butt off. He has, I think that in many ways, this old culture, this Tartarian culture, this Hyperborean culture, and the quote-unquote empire of the wheel, I think we have some overlap there. And that's what I'd like to hip him to. Yeah, right, Flat Plane? And yeah, Sylvie, to me, Sylvia is the Prometheus of the Tartarian movement as far as YouTube goes. She was the one who knew about Anatoly Fomenko and brought it front. So she kind of lit the fire. Now the fire is lit. The Prometheus moment is over. And now it is for us to use that fire as our, a form of like our own technology, or use that fire to light the way for us to discover our story instead of his story. Oh, I don't have Walter Bosley's phone. I don't give out my phone number very much. Because the problem, if we just had old-fashioned rotary phones, I'd be a lot better with it. But with modern stuff, if somebody has your phone number, it means they can text you. And I'm very big on boundaries, and what's proper. And modern culture doesn't even know what thinks that boundary's a wall. It is a wall is a boundary, but I mean the modern techno web of things culture is too much blah blah. That's why I'm not on Twitter. That's why I don't take my phone usually with me when I go out. It's like I'm not home. There's a voice, just like in the old days when you had a regular phone, landline phone. You went out, you got home, you got your messages. This can tap. Somebody can tap me on the shoulder no matter where I am. That doesn't work for me. But I do my first foray. I would like to invite Walter Bosley to a private kind of Zoom exchange with me, because that's the other thing. If to get to know somebody is not to get to know them in text. We need to have, for me to get to know somebody, I need real-time voice and face, minimally voice. But 80% of communication is other than the actual words. So if we move it into just voice, at least we have inflections and we can hear maybe there's some humor. So part of that 80% isn't all visual. Some of it's oral, as an AU oral. And but to be able to see a face, in other words, if I want to, like humor works terribly in text. Where if I can put a twinkle in my eye and like look directly at you and say something and let you know that I'm kind of, giving you a little bit of a jab, I don't, it works. People try to use humor that works in a human setting, in a digital setting, and boy, does it stink. once again, I believe that Walter would benefit enormously from this thing, but once again, he's doing such an excellent job. And I mean, it's even me, like when I am doing certain research, like I was researching a little bit about plumbing. Well, actually, what I'm doing is I'm also learning how to build guitar amps. So I'm learning about electricity, and I never took an electric class. But as I'm studying electricity, it's also tying into what I'm learning about this, the old tech, the antiquitech. As I'm learning electricity, I'm learning what moves a signal, what moves DC current. And because I'm trying to figure out how does the signal move, because you have AC moving this way and DC moving this way and in the same wire. And it is learning the consciousness of electricity, which obviously kind of comes from the greater etheric plasma. So we're dealing with, electricity is an intelligence. So but it is an intelligence that also has ways about it. I mean, people talk about the laws of this, the laws of that. There are no laws. The law comes from the new thought, and it starts with Torah, the law. Before then, you had Tao, the way, Tao. There are the ways of physics, the ways of thermodynamics, the ways. Ways. We observe, we learn the ways. These forces of nature have no laws. They have their ways, and if they were to step outside the ways and be in error, there are consequences, but there are no laws other than the shit we make up to imprison each other. There is no existential law, just like there's no existential evil. There's a lot of existential envy and jealousy and desire and wanting what one can't want, but unless that energy or those thought patterns get into a human that then acts on this anti-human agenda, until evil is done, there is no evil. So there are no laws. There is the way, and we can have our agreements with us, and we can set those agreements between us as this is the way, here's the word, this is the way, this is the Tao we want, not the Torah or the law we want. Yes, very good, Sandra. So anyway, when I'm looking at the way electricity behaves, at least in a circuit, okay, in a closed circuit, I'm seeing how it always wants to go to ground, and how very often, at least in the building of an amp, when that signal first goes into the guitar, the first thing it does is it's offered a place to go to ground, so it kind of calls, but there's a resistor there, and when it hits that resistor, there's another alternative for the electricity to flow that doesn't have as much resistance. So the flow will take the path of least resistance, but it's kind of called by ground. But when they get there, because of the resistor, the ground doesn't look as juicy, so it continues. And I see this constant pattern throughout the amp of putting the ground as kind of like a natural play to draw the energy in deeper, put in a little resistor so it moves further till it finally is liberated at the speaker. Just amazing to see it, and how the use of different capacitors and resistors are basically our way. It's almost like sigil magic of when the electricity arrives at these components, it goes, oh, you want that from me? Got it. And then it does it. And these setting of resistors and capacitors, and then, and which was what those those various like tone control stuff, those are just resistor values, and sometimes tied in with capacitor values. And so it's just so cool and so fascinating and almost mesmerizing. I mean, I find myself going into trance looking at a small portion of a schematic on a guitar amp. I went into trance last night looking at just the very first circuit, where it comes in, it hits these couple of resistors, has a capacitor, and how it gets to the very first stage of tube amplification. Got lost for like a half an hour in a trance. It's awesome. And so for me, learning how electricity behaves is now assisting me in trying to understand antiquitech. What is, the difference between what might act in a capacitive range, but certainly those domes certainly look capacitive. And then you see some of them are more like obelisk tops, where they have hard edges rather than the round edges. And then, you know, so I'm looking at these things, and so I'm trying to put together what's going on there. So I'm having a lot of fun, and then I try to share what I discover in the videos and hope other people have fun. And also, like, again, I have enough intellect to kind of start to play with things, but in many ways I'm playing with things like like somebody in a playpen. And then somebody who really knows the subject might come along and go, I know all about this, but I never thought about the way you're playing with it. Why don't you let me play with it, because I know what I'm talking about. And that's exactly the kind of fires I would hope to set off. Yeah, demon is a tricky word there, Doc Michael, because when we have competition on the earth for allegiance, and so once pointing the finger and saying demon is real easy. And if you point the finger and say demon, and then you have a whole crowd go, demon, burn her, she's a witch, you have the effect that one wanted, even if it was anti-human. Yeah, I mean, little by little, I mean, etymology is huge. And once again, the other thing is magic or the paranormal, or what the rest, the supernatural. We have the natural world, and then we have something that occurs above it. And then the word super means above. Just like the real word for the adrenal glands is supraadrenals, because they sit above the supradrenal. And because renal means kidney. So supradrenal means above the kidney, which is where the adrenal glands sit. So supernatural means that sits above the phenomenal, or quote-unquote natural world. And one of the things for us to really get into that world, to be able to decipher, is to understand it is tying with all of existence, including that which we can't perceive with our physical senses, so it's called supernatural. But it's right there, it's just not perceivable. And so, demons, I mean, again, to me, there are demons, but we need to be very careful of who's saying it, because, it's very, to say demon in many ways is a form of kind of magical ad hominem, and it can get sloppy. Name calling can get very sloppy. So sigils can be misunderstood. I'm not real big. In fact, I don't practice that stuff. I consider myself united, and a child, although an adult child, of this earth, and one of those hillbilly rustics that, if we translated into Latin, would be called pagani, and then westernized into pagan. Yeah, I'm one of those hillbillies. Okay. I'm not sure about, I guess eating tacos and drinking beer must be part of a conversation that has its own life. So that's it from me, finally. So thank you for the new people that are here. I wonder if I can see my participants. Yeah, I can. All right. I'm very pleased that once again, I have people who've come to my live streams for a while, but welcome old timers, and of course welcome to the new ones. Anyway, let me get off of the stream so I can upload the video that I made for people to watch. It's a 40-minute video, and I don't need any apologies. I feel like, you know, the love is there, so, and I don't feel anybody is trying to. I mean, there's no obvious antagonism towards me here. So, bless you. I love you. All right, that's it. Let me make sure I hit the right button this time. Stop streaming. Stop streaming.